It is time. So to get started, my name is Stevie Hicks, Stevie Ray Hicks. I am the owner of SamCol by Hicks, which is a company that is inspired by my children, Kobe and Sammy. We started in August. Is there an echo?
I
People
think
that
it's
can.
because I'm trying to mute my. Okay, now.
Okay, let me turn mine down as well. So I I started back in August, so we're coming up on our year. Um, and I started with enamel pens, and from there I opened up to books because I've always wanted to have a bookstore, and that leads me to Mrs. Sharde O'Rourke. Um, One thing I love to do is journal. After having my first son or my first child, which is my son, I suffered with postpartum depression really, really bad. And one of the things that helped me and that specifically helped me cope with postpartum depression was journaling. And Sharde O'Rourke, a lot of people don't know, but Sharde O'Rourke is my cousin. Um, but she helped me without probably really knowing it with this book or journal, Finding Me. So we're going to get into that shortly, but I want Sharde to introduce herself, who she is, what she's about, and all of that.
Well, hi. Um, my name is Chardee. I am the owner of the Mahogany Project, a counseling and consulting practice here in Virginia. But I'm also called the Barefoot Therapist because um, usually in counseling, I encourage my clients to like take off their shoes. We burn incense, candles, that kind of thing. Of course, we have all my plant babies around. It's a vibe. It's a feng shui happening. Also, I am the author of 3 books. The one that Stevie so graciously just showed, which is about self exploration, finding me. I also have written a couples journal called the Conversation Journal, and that's for couples. And then written a book of poetry, but I will also shortly, by the end of this year, be coming out with a journal for specifically targeting Black women. It's a more conversational, and it involves prompts and like a space for you to be yourself. But I absolutely love journals. I love creating and writing journals. I think it's one of the coolest, most fulfilling things to do. So, thanks for having me, Stevie.
Hey, okay, so let's just jump right in. What journaling has done for me specifically has created a space for me to express myself. Um, Sometimes when I'm not able to verbally, like, I guess, tell someone how I feel, it is so much easier for me to write it down. And with writing it down, especially with Finding Me, it allowed me to explore who I am and how I deal with, I guess, with others and how others see me. And one of the pages, which hopefully we'll get into, is like probably, um, I think we'll get into it, but it's a page in Finding Me that really like made me look at myself differently and actually started asking these questions about who I am. But I don't want to ask the question yet until we get into it. But I think that was like my favorite part. And that is what drew me into the whole, oh, I really need to take journaling serious. I did it before just to express myself, but I never internalized it and really like did the work and study and really tried to seek answers as to why I am the way I am and how am I amongst others. So with that being said, Finding Me specifically, where was your head when you was like, okay, I'm going to create this book? Like what encouraged you? What inspired you?
One of the biggest thing was I found myself working with clients and recommending them other people's work. And I'm like, well, it can't be that hard to like write a journal based on what I want my clients to work on. If they're working, a lot of my clients come and they want to process. I think it's an echo because I'm gonna cut my Instagram off because I think that's what it is. Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
I'm gonna mute it. Is it an echo now? I think that's why it's an echo.
Okay, there
But
we go.
no, it's
Can you
let
guys
me know
still
if you
hear
guys
her?
hear the echo. Um, I created the workbook because I found that I was just recommending other people's work, and I do this work every day. Um, Creating opportunities for my clients, processing and all of that. I knew that I could. All I had to do was take what was here and put it on paper. Is there yes. Okay. I don't know how to get rid of the echo other than to cut Instagram off. So y'all tell me. But
Don't cut it off yet.
okay.
I think they can hear you. I think they can hear it. Go ahead.
Okay. So that's essentially what I did. I had the idea of like, okay, I keep recommending these books, but why wouldn't I recommend my own book? So my clients can go get it and we process it in therapy like we would do someone else's book. And it just made sense. It just ended up making perfect sense to me. So then when I started getting into writing the book, it just almost felt like everything kind of flew out of me. I think I wrote this book in a week or less, maybe 2 weeks,
Wow.
possibly, but maybe 2 weeks. But if I'm focused, I was able to like just nail it down because I already knew what direction I wanted to go. A lot of the extra time just took into crafting it so other people could understand it.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you use your own journals? Do you actually do the work first prior to?
No, I tried to, like, once I had it finished, I tried to process through it as if I was the reader. Like, I wanted it to make sense. And I will say, after I did that, I actually want to make a part 2 to elaborate a little bit more because all feedback that I'm also getting, and I understand that because that's the way that I think, is that some of the questions were really challenging and people needed a little bit more support following through with some of the activities. So I thought about seriously making a part 2 to help people push through that because it is really challenging and there is a lot of information that once you're presented with it, you may not know what to do with that. It is echoing. Okay. It shouldn't. I can hear the echo. But now
Okay, so let's get into it. So there's one page in particular that I want to talk about. My favorite page.
Okay.
And this is when I say it really allowed me to look at myself, how others see me. Where it says, people that know me, challenge yourself to identify what others would say about you. And it's so crazy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's so crazy because the first things I started saying was I smile a lot. People may see me as having like this self-confidence, being a little ditzy. And I just started making this list and I started realizing that this is why, or this is where we teach people how to treat ourselves. Does that make sense? Or who we are. It's like this is how we're presenting ourselves, and in turn, we're throwing it out in the universe, and the universe is giving it back to us. Like we have to set the tone, right? And that's probably one of the biggest things because sometimes I have a misconception that I'm like overly ditzy, and when I do things, people are like, "Wow, I didn't know you knew how to do that." Well, I'm not dumb. I just smile a lot, like I'm goofy, but I'm very capable. And I had to start internalizing, like, well, maybe, well, not internalizing, but doing the work. Maybe if I want people to actually take me serious, I can't always be goofy and then get insulted when somebody's like, oh, I didn't know how. I didn't know you knew or you were capable of doing X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, yeah. I think that was one of my favorites.
I like that activity, and I put it in there for two reasons. One, I think a lot of times, I don't think, I hear in my experience, people really struggle with other people's opinions of them. Like I can't tell you how many hours I have spent working with people, processing what other people have either told them about them, what other people said that somebody else said. And so I think that's a two-way street. You know, we like to act like we don't care about what people think. That's not a real thing, right? In certain spaces, we do care. We do
Yeah.
want validation sometimes. We do want feedback or criticism. Not criticism, but we want some critique or productive feedback. We do want to know what people think because we want to be clear about what we're putting out in the universe. So I think it's unfair to say, well, I don't care, what people think about me, but then be frustrated about what people then have to say if it doesn't align with who you thought you are and what you think you put out in the universe, even if it may be contradictory to the feedback that other people give you. So I think it's just really important to consider that, because sometimes what we think we're doing may translate differently in the world.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. No, like legit. I think in high school I had this perception. I didn't care what nobody thought. I just thought, listen, this is who I am. And it's so crazy because, you go through life and you meet people, you network, right? And that's when I think I realized in undergrad that we do care to at least a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you say you don't, to a certain extent you do, because you want to be able to make a certain impression on a possible boss or employer or, an organization. So you have to care to some certain extent. But this Finding Me, I think it's not a one-time book. It's not something that you get just one time and then you're like, okay, I'm done. It's like, dang, I'm in another chapter of my life. I need to buy this book again because I have to find me in this space. You know what I'm saying? It's like a everyday healing thing. Like sometimes I even go back and try to go, it's like a study material. I go back and I'm like, dang, what did I say here? How did I feel about myself in this moment? Sometimes I need to grasp that same feeling again because I may have lost it. Or
Right.
again, like I said, purchase another book and do the work all over again because it's a healing process.
It is. And the thing is you don't have to do it alone. One of the things that I did do was I went through this book from cover to cover with a group of women. Well, it wasn't just a group of women. It was a prayer group. So it was maybe 10 to 15 people. And every week we tackled, I mean, obviously it's 10 chapters. We spent a little bit more time on that because some chapters require a little bit more time. But we spent 10 to 15 weeks going from cover to cover through this book. And it was really intense and it was really challenging. And it was really emotional, but it allowed them to process what they were seeing and reading in a very different way. So one of the turn up your my mic. But see, it's echoing when I take myself off mute on Instagram, it's echoing. So let me know how it sounds. But me doing it in the group really encouraged the idea that I want to do workshops based on the workbook because people the group that I worked with had such a great time. Some of them signed up for the workshop I had prior. So I would love to encourage people, like if they're going to do the workbook, to sign up for the workshops that I'll have coming up, because I think it would help you process through it in a very different way.
I didn't think about that. Like I legit did not think about that. And that makes me think maybe I need to do, that'll be dope if a group of us got together.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for you guys as well.
That's essentially what it was. It was 10 to 15 people who knew each other, They already had a group, and they asked me to complete a workshop with them. So like I said, we did it at 8 o'clock in the morning, once a week, every week till we were done.
I think that is dope. So let me ask you, how can someone purchase this book?
So they can either go to my website, which is at the bottom, it's the Mahogany Project, projek.com, or they can buy both of my journals off of my book baby page, which is my publisher, Book Baby. So that is on the website. That is, you can just look it up if you Google it. If you Google "Finding Me" by Sharde, it'll take you to it'll show my Book Baby publishing page and all of that. So either one.
You guys can also purchase it in my store,
Uh-huh.
SamCol by Hicks. Well, it's only two of us, but anything else you would like to say?
I would like to challenge people to take the opportunity to journal. A lot, um, a lot of what I find is people are traditionally uninterested or disinterested in journaling because they feel like they have to write it every day and it becomes an obligation. The idea around journaling is, one, you don't want to write just when things are bad, because keep in mind it's like a time capsule, right? Your children can read this, not that you would let them, you don't have to, but the idea is that it's chronicling your life, and it's also challenging you to process it in a very different way. So Finding Me specifically doesn't just chronicle, it is helping you process and resolve. So, but I will say the journal that I'm coming out with, Disjointed, that's really about chronicling, and it has like really challenging prompts in it that help you get your shit together. So the idea with these journals are for, one, you to get your shit together, resolve some stuff, work on some stuff, and come out better on the other end. That's the idea.
Okay, and what are the age groups?
I would say anyone that can. uh, I've struggled with this because I wanted to say 18 and up, but I do believe if you're 16, 17, and you've been through some ish and you need to process, it's in plain language. I don't use a whole lot of big words and all of that. It's very, um, sorry, hold on. It's very easy to read. It's not a hard read. So I think that even kids around 16 or 17 can do it if they'd like to. But like I said, I do think it is great when you do it in pairs. Like if you have a friend, or you and your mom, or you and your aunt, or you and your cousins, or I've found that people do really well, or they do better when they're doing it in groups because they challenge each other. So that may
You
also.
made me think of something. Like, I'm really excited about that. It really makes me think about, I have something coming up, and I didn't think about that. I just got something working. When you say pairs and groups of women, I don't never think about dealing with issues with a group. And I find myself a lot of times hiding or becoming, people say, you went missing, where you been? I've been working on me,
Yeah.
but I never thought to maybe get with a group of women, because I know it's plenty of people going through stuff.
Well,
And why not do it together? Why not do the work together? Although it's our personal journey, why not do that work together?
and you have to think too. A lot of times when you get in groups, it presents ideas that you probably wouldn't have come up with just on your own, because you have many minds working together. So to keep that in mind, one type of group that I've been working on reaching out to and appealing to are book clubs. Because you have groups of people who get together who love to read, and so I've, of course, with my intern hopefully coming on soon, that is the type of groups we'll be appealing to, are book clubs, getting people who already work together, who are familiar with each other, who have a similar interest, getting together and reading this book and having a workshop together on it so they can heal together and work and resolve together. It really does a lot. Because think of it this way. Let's say you have a friend who's really not a talker. They're more silent, right? But you
Right.
in a group with other women who have varying personalities that would also challenge them in a way they wouldn't have got it on their own. So it really is helpful to do it in groups, even if it's a group of strangers, even if you just take the workshop all on your own, it's still really helpful. Can you do it alone? Of course you can.
Of course,
But do
man.
I
Yeah.
think you could also benefit from doing with other people? Of course you can.
Right. Right. Um. Yeah. So that just gave me an idea. A lot of people don't know, but I am a school teacher, and this would be dope even for schools, like you said, seniors. Students who are about to explore, what it means to be an adult, or
Mm-hmm.
who's at least going to college. This right here, my favorite quote, the ideas that you, let me show you. That's what I was looking for. Can you guys see that? Here, here, here,
Yeah.
here. And this reminds me of my students. Like, actually, I had this when I first purchased this book from you. Um, I used this quote and put it on my right behind my desk. The idea is that you are aligning your genuine being, ideal behavior, and emotional being, especially teenagers, especially children, but we're talking about young adults here, 16, 17-ish, preferably 17. You know, we're everywhere with our emotions, even as adults. But it's so much more healthier when you get someone that is a teenager or someone who's about to actually, get out into the real world, and you teach them how to deal with their emotions. You really do that as a toddler. You're working with emotions. But me being a teacher, I have high school students. So going back to my 17-year-olds, I used to teach them about, is your ideal behavior and your emotional being, that's like your chakras. Are you lining them up correctly? Is everything aligned? Are you grounded? Like, let's bring it back. And I think this right here is going back to, I already told you about my favorite page. This right here is my favorite quote. I don't know if y'all can see that. I know every which way, but this is my favorite quote. I actually have this framed in my classroom. Behind my desk. I actually have that framed in my classroom behind my desk. So,
That, that's
yeah, this,
awesome.
yeah, your journal. Look, you are a dope author, dope motivational speaker. I mean, visionary. She has decks too. You forgot to talk about your conversation decks.
I do. Okay, but it's I'm gonna say a contradictory to journaling. It's actually not. So the this is without the box though. Of course, I have these laying around everywhere. My conversation cards are really about couples, but of course, you could do this with friends. You can do this like in a group. You could do this as a group couple activity, like if you got couple friends. It really is about challenging. Like, first of all, the thing that gave me the idea to even write the cards in the first place were, being married. My husband and I thought about all of the questions we never asked each other, even thought to ask each other before we got married. Things that we needed to know about each other, answers to questions that were important or necessary in where we were going to go on our journey together. So it was really that it was inspirational in that way. I wanted couples to have a framework to come from when they were either starting a relationship, thinking about
Mm-hmm.
getting more serious, beginning in marriage. There are just questions you need to ask and answers you need to have. So I really thought, of course, writing the cards was a great way, making it like a game and not so intense. Um, it was a great way for couples to challenge each other and get to know more about each other and make a reasonable assessment of their person to say, okay, I think I can rock with you knowing what I know, or I can't rock with you knowing what I know. I'm not going to assume. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I think, and again, some of them are so simple. Like one of the cards are, how do you think you're viewed at work? Right? that addresses things like race, that addresses things like perspective, that addresses things like self-esteem and value, because whatever comes out of their mouth is going to include a lot of those things and more. So just keep those things in mind.
Well, you know what? You think they're simple, but they're not. And let me tell you why. These are excellent questions. We don't really take an account to how other people see us. Like you said, we have a lot of people walking around like, I don't care, but you do. And that teaches you to find yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even with these conversation cards, I take cards and I'll put them on a board for my students. Or, we could do this in a group of setting of adults. Put a question prompt or a writing prompt on the board. And that's journaling. You know what I'm saying? That's just another form of journaling. It's writing, it's prompt journaling, without it being in an actual journal. And I find these cards to be very, 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 very thought provoking, because it seems very like, I can answer that quickly, but no, you start to really start painting a picture of yourself. Like, damn, this is who I am. Damn. Either damn, I need to change, or damn, you know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things, like you start to find, girl, this journal, you don't know how many people have asked me, when you getting these journals back, this journal is bomb. Like lawyers, doctors, like.
You know what? I want to say this too, which I hope people get, is one of the other things that I kind of embedded or made a point to incorporate into my work is the artistry. So outside of like just putting words on paper, I want it to be beautiful. I want it to feel beautiful. I want it to feel like artsy, and like you have something new to look at every time you get into the book. So a lot of I designed everything in this book with the exception of the cover. Everything else I wrote, designed myself. So all of my quotes, the color scheme, all of that is intended, like even the up down to the fonts, right? Where things are placed. I have different fonts set throughout the book depending on what I'm talking about. All of that is about the connection between our visual being and how we connect emotionally to things that we see, right? But
Right.
also what we read. So if for example, I feel much more inclined to write in something that's beautiful, that makes me feel good, that has bright colors. So that's not different from even my cards. Every single card in the deck is a different color, is a different design. When you pick it up, it's not the same card that you got the last time. It's a whole different vibe. So
Right.
that's the idea with my projects, are the artistry, making you feel good even from what you see, challenging you, supporting you, loving you, giving you all of those things in something that seems so simple, a deck of cards or a journal. And that's not different from um, the journal that I'll be coming out with in the fall. I think the thing that is really beautiful and different about this particular journal is it's conversational. So I cuss a lot in this journal.
I like that.
It's very conversational, like, and using words like using slang that we use just every day in conversation. Good look, or shit. Why the fuck? Like, just having like the journal is literally set as if you and I are having a conversation, and this is what it would sound like, even in
I
the.
like that.
So the idea is, because I think a lot of times, especially as Black women or Black people, we have our own cultural norms and things that are relative to our experience. And that should be highlighted by works of art or like experiences that support that idea that we understand. So that's kind of how this journal is set, is providing or supporting that experience.
That's dope. That's dope. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just hope everyone, if you haven't gotten your journal, please, please, please get your journal. If you're a couple, get the couple's journal also. It's super dope. It talks about money, it talks about sex, it talks about wants, it talks about needs. It has a lot of prompts, and you're writing to each other in the journal. It's a very, very unique way of journaling. Um, for the journal that I have coming out in the fall, make sure you subscribe to my website and you'll know when it's ready for pre-order. The conversation cards are on my website. The collaboration Stevie and I did with the dope ass pen about daddies and daughters. A lot of the material that I have on my site has everything to do with like a therapeutic journey. So yeah, we do live. I do lives every Monday on Facebook. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. I'll have a lot more content coming out. Sign up for the workshops. I'll have a couples workshop coming soon. It'll be a boot camp. I say a workshop. It'll be a couples boot camp coming soon. So keep that in mind. And if you have any questions, let me know. I do consultative work. So I am always open to that, but I just appreciate you having me, and I had such a good time.
Yay. Again, you guys, finding me the journal. And you can either buy it on my website or Sharde's website, which is going across her screen.
It is the Mahogany
Project. Yeah. And follow her at the Barefoot Therapist. Any questions? I guess it's just me and you, but I'm going to record this and put it on our page. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And keep delivering that bomb ass content.
Thank you. Have a good evening, ma'am.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.